Now, let's go somewhere else. Let's not do those equations yet. Let's go to the graphs. What do you think about the bottom left graph? Yes or no?
Yes.
I'm hearing yeses, but why? It doesn't cross back over.
Like go
No,
back
pass
down
instead
so that there's
of
two.
Watch this.
Yeah, it passes.
If you go up, 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 hit the graph, go over. This number 3, how many answers did 3 get?
One.
It got that answer, whatever that is. This might be 6. Well, how many did 6 get? 1. How many did negative 6 get? 1. Did you guys know what that's called? This was a test. Straight line test. Close.
Vertical.
Vertical line test. If you draw a vertical line and you hit the graph what? Once, it's a function. It's yes. Okay. So what about this one?
No.
Okay. So that's 7 right there in the x. 7 gets what answer? Let's just say 3. 7 also gets what answer? Negative 3. By definition, your x values can only come up with one y value. This one's coming up with 2, so we have to say no. Okay? Go to the equation. Let's go with that. Upper right. Yes, no, have no clue. You say no. Why no? It's a what? Good job. Back to that visual learner. If that's x squared plus y squared, we've talked about circles in here, haven't we?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the equation of a circle. What's the center of your circle? 0, 0. What's the radius? It's not 9. It is 3. So basically, that is the graph. Yes or no? Vertical line test. Draw a vertical line. You hit it how many times? Twice. It's what? It is no. Now, to be honest, if you don't know what these are, if you didn't know that was a circle, you wouldn't know to say yes or no. So how are you going to do it? Well, you could solve it for y. Y squared would equal what? Yep, and then you'd probably do what next? Square root of this, right? Okay, right? But I didn't solve that correctly. When you take the square root of both sides, you're supposed to put what there? Plus or minus, right? Got it? Okay, now, yeah, take a look. If you let that be, let's say 2. Let the x value be 2. What is, well, it's going to be, this one's going to be kind of tough, but it's going to be like this. Negative 2 squared plus 9. Okay, so that 2 times 2 is 4. Negative 4 plus 9. Well, it's not 5. Square root of 5, right? But wait a minute, it's also what? It's also negative square root of 5. So how many x values got how many answers? 2. Which is about right here, by the way. Here's 2. Up, up, up. Guess what that number is? Square root of 5. Down, down, down. Guess what that number is? Negative square root of 5. Yeah. That's a no. If you solve for y, listen to this. This is how simple it is. If you solve for y and you get this symbol, y equals plus or minus, there's 2 y's. It's not going to work. Right? Come on over. Look at this one. What do you want me to do? Add y? Okay, we can go add y and subtract 6. Okay, so 2x minus 6. Okay, you can put whatever number you want. Just put in 10. Go ahead. Put in a 10. What does 10 get out? 2 times 10 minus 6 is? Did the x value get one answer out? Yeah. If I did this over and over, how many answers would I get out? Everything. Just one. So this is a what? That is a function, yes. Okay, but if you knew anything about the graph, what is this? That's a linear function because it's x to the first, y to the first. You know it's a what? Well, you don't know the graph. It's a line, right? Well, draw a vertical line through any diagonal line, and you get, how many times you hit it? Once. So it's always going to be what? Yes. There's only one line that you have to say no to. I heard horizontal line. Okay. Well, a horizontal line, if you drew vertical lines through it, you hit it once. This is good. It's a what line? Vertical lines. So what's that equation look like if that's 10? So is x equal 10 a function? Draw a vertical line. How many times do you hit it? Like a million, right? 10 gets 1. 10 gets 2. 10 gets 3. 10 gets 4. Obviously, this is not a function, right? This is the only linear function that's not a function. Okay? Is that making sense? Okay. All right. That one is kind of sandwiched in between, so give me a second to dig it out. Okay, what do you think? Yes, no? You say no. Because what? Are you saying there's no plus or minus? Okay. Do you guys see, do you see a plus or minus? No. So really, if you threw in an x value, let's throw in an x value. Give me an x value that would work. 7. You say 7? 6 minus 7 squared, take the square root of it, is 6 minus 49, which is negative 43. Can we take the square of negative numbers? No, these are imaginary. You picked a number, you picked an x value that didn't work. Pick something that does work. 2? Okay, so let's pick 2. Okay, 2 it is, and we get what? 2 squared. 6 minus 4 is 2, right? Okay, so what does this get? Square root of 2. Did it get 2 answers? No, if you get 2 answers, then it's not a function. How many answers did I get? I just got 1. You guys, I think what you're doing, I think what some of you are doing is, just because you see a square root, you're thinking there has to be a plus or minus. No. There's no plus or minus to start with. You're only going to get one y value, because there's no plus or minus out here. So I could pick multiple x's. I could pick 1. Who can do that quick in their head? What's the answer? Square root of 5. Did 1 get 1 answer? Yeah? I could pick 0. Put 0 in. What do you get? Okay, every time you do it, you're getting 1. 1 answer. Every x gets 1. Every x gets 1. Every x gets 1. You're getting 1 answer. It's a what? It's a function, yes. Now, if you actually remembered from Algebra 2, remember this? The square root function of x, do you guys remember the graph? And I don't expect you to. Maybe a week from now I will, but not today. You guys remember it at all? Yeah?
Is it like the one that goes like that?
He's saying it goes like this. He's right. That's it. It actually starts at 0 because you put 0 in, right? Square root of 0 is 0. If you put 1 in, what do you get?
I knew that. Yeah.
1. If you put in 4, what do you get?
2.
Square root of 4.
Oh, square root.
2. It is this one. That's it. The other half is missing. It looks like it should be like a parabola, but it's not. It's just basically half the parabola. Tell me, is that a function? Draw a vertical line through it. What do you think? 1. You hit it once every time. Yeah, it is a function. Now I told you up here it was, but by the picture you can really see it. The problem is most of you can't do that yet. You're not quite ready to do that. I know what that looks like. You're not ready because your memory isn't there yet. You did them last year, but you can't remember, and there's the problem. Okay, but if you don't see a plus or minus sign, you're going to say what? Yeah. Okay. Okay, here we go. Now we're shifting gears. Now we're talking functions, and if you guys remember, functions are just equations, okay? Like this. And equations usually just have x's and y's in them. But back in whatever, 9th grade, your teacher probably said, let's take this function y. Let's just change it to what we call function notation. Let's give it a name. Let's give it a name. We're going to call it f for the function. Sometimes we call it h for height. Sometimes we might call it v for value. You know what I'm saying? They use letters that make sense. And then they say this. Take your function and evaluate your function at what x value? Well, we'll put a number there eventually. This is called, do you know how to read this? F of x, good. Okay, that's the way I read it all the time. But you know what it really means? The value of f. The value of your function at x equals, I don't know. We don't know yet until I plug a number in like 2. The value of f at, I'll just say x. It's probably easier just to say that. Let me just say x. At x. So if I'm going to do this, your function is right there, x squared minus 3x. You're asked this. What is the value of your function when x is what? 2. What are you going to do? Put 2 in for x and solve it. Go. This takes honestly 10 seconds. What'd you guys come up with? -2. Yes, you're right. So the answer is -2. So remember when I said this to you? This is what it means. The value of your function f at x equals, this time it was 2. So what is the value of my function when x is 2? -2. You know what that is? That's your x value. Guess what that is? That's your y value. So did you just find a point on your graph? Sure you did. What's the point? 2, -2. Yeah, you found a point. There you go. That's really, a function is you put in an x and you get out a y. That's all it is. Okay? Now this is a funny number. They didn't give you 2, 4, 6, 8. They gave you what? Evaluate the function f when x is x plus 2. They're giving you an algebraic expression. Your job is to put that number where? Into that x, and then simplify. See if you can do it. Plus 2 squared, how do you do it? How do you square x plus 2? Foil it. Good job. Foil. Here we go. That's my cheerleading for tonight's game. Okay. All right, there you go. Foil it out. First. Outer, inner, last gives you this, right? X squared plus 2x plus 2x plus what? 4 plus, or not plus, sorry, what? Minus 6, okay. Okay, add like terms. 2x plus 2x, take away 3x. I'll put my x squared first, followed by what? Followed by what? Yes. That's kind of weird, because what did I plug into my function? I plugged in what? X plus 2. So if you think about it, guys, I told you they're just ordered pairs, aren't they? I plugged in x plus 2. Guess what my answer was? That. There's my ordered pair. X plus 2, comma, that mess. Yeah, it's not fun to look at that, but that's what it is.
Can we ever factor that part back down or no?
Well, kind of, yes. You'll see right now. Okay, this next one says, find what? This time they want you to find x. Here's the function, right? Find x if f of x is what? 0. But you have to remember what f of x is. F of x is really just them replacing what letter? Y. Where was the y back in 9th grade? It was on the left. It was right here, wasn't it? Yeah. So when will f of x be 0? Oh, well, let this whole thing be 0. Go find the x value. Go find it. So you have to solve it. That's an equation. Solve the equation for x. It is quadratic, so you could do the quadratic formula. You don't want to, do you? What's the other way to solve quadratics? Yeah, I heard greatest common factor, and all I wanted you to say was factor it. Take out the GCF if there is one. What's the GCF? Okay, got it. And then what's left? X minus 3, got it. Now remember, when you factor, what you're doing is you're saying, when will this factor, and a factor is just a multiplier, by the way, times this factor be what? Be 0. When will these two numbers be 0? One of those factors has to be what? Yeah, this either has to be 0 or this one has to be 0. When will this one be 0? Well, set it equal to 0 and solve it. Oh, it's already done. That's the answer. When will x minus 3 be 0? Yeah, I know you guys can do that in 2 seconds, but I'm just going to say set it equal to 0 and solve it. So you know what? You found the x value that makes your function what? 0. So what is this called that I just did? They call these the zeros of the function. You were asked to find zeros in Algebra 2 many times, okay? Now, the zeros of the function basically mean I plug in x, what do I get out? I get out 0. I plug in 3, what do I get out? 0. Those are the zeros of the function. And when I say find the zeros, do you recognize these? They're also what? They're what on the graph? They're x-intercepts. Okay. So when they say, when is your function going to be 0, set your function equals 0, solve it, and come up with 2 solutions. I shouldn't say 2 solutions. There could be 1, there could be 2, there could even be 3. Okay? Or more. Okay. This is called a piecewise graph. Do you remember piecewise graphs? Yeah? Do you guys remember that they kind of look like something like, this? Something like that. They were broken up like that. Sometimes they were closed, sometimes they were open like that, right? Okay. Well, what it is a function. G of x is your function. But g of x has been broken into 2 separate functions. One of them is called this function, x minus 4. And one of them is called this function, 3x. But when do you use the top function and when do you use the bottom function? It kind of tells you right here. This is what we call the domain of the function. What x values can I actually use? Those. When you choose x values that are less than 2, use this function. When you choose x values that are greater than or equal to 2, use this function. That's all it says. So if I ask you this question, g of 0, you will say g of 0 is, do you put 0 in the top function or the bottom? Why the top? Because your x value happens to be what? less than 2. Go with the top function. The answer is what? The answer is -4. Add another one. Put in 5. What's the answer for 5? 15? Because 5 is what? Greater than 2. Go with this function. 3 times 5. The answer is what? 15. What if I ask you this one? G of 2. Which function does 2 go into? Is 2 less than 2? No. Is 2 greater than or equal to 2?
Yes.
Yes. It's the bottom function. You get what? 6. That should be the easiest part of your assignment. Piecewise functions. Just pick the correct function. That's it. Yes, no? Okay, now we talk about this word domain. Do you guys remember domain? It was the what values? Yeah, it's the x values. The x values that, let's say this, get solutions. They actually get answers. Okay, x values that get solutions. Okay, you guys should always be thinking this. Always think my domain will always be this. What does that mean? Okay, and what are all real numbers?
Any number that's not imaginary.
Yeah, it's every number you can think of except what? Imaginary. Square root of 7, 2.75, -10, pi. These are all real numbers. Okay, so you always say the domain is what? But wait a minute. There's only 2 requirements that you have to be careful with. Ready? You got to be careful with even roots. What are even roots? Square root, fourth root, right? Okay. Of what kind of numbers?
Possible.
Okay. This says you can take even roots of positive numbers only. That's a lie. It's non-negative. Okay? What is non-negative? That would be not negative, so what are they? They're positive, but also what? 0. So you can do this, right, guys? What's the square root of 0? What's fourth root of 16? Ooh, do you know that one? 2. Okay, so you can do this, but what can't you? You can't do that. Because if you do that, now you're going into a whole new number system called what? Imagine, what's the square root of -9? It's 3i. It doesn't work. It's not in the real number system, so we say that doesn't work. Okay. Okay. Now, here's the deal. I'm going to get to what I'm doing in a second. Also, when it comes to domain, excludes the x values that make the denominator 0. So what they're trying to say is this: if you have a fraction like this, and you have an x in the bottom, x plus 3. You can put anything you want in for x. You're going to get a solution. X values that get solutions, except what x value makes the denominator 0? -3. If x was -3, you'd end up with what? -3 plus 3, you'd end up with 0. Does this work? No, that's undefined. So you have to be very careful with this, 1 over 0, and this, the square of negative numbers. Okay. So I warned you of what to be careful about. Let's do it. Ready? All right, ready? This one. What's the domain in this one? I heard somebody say what? All real numbers. I don't know, is that right? Here's what I would think. Can I put in a positive number? Let's see. Can you put a positive number in and square it? Yeah. You pick a positive number, square it, you get an answer. Can you put 0 in and square it? 0 times 0 is? Hey, it works. Can you put a negative in and square it? Yeah, because you square a negative, what do you get? Yeah, it works. You're right, guys. It's all real numbers. If I'm you, I'm always going to think all real numbers unless I can say, no, this doesn't work. All right, ready? This is a fraction. Be careful. What can't you divide by? Okay, you can't divide by 0. And if you can't divide by 0, there's a restriction on this one. Can't divide by 0. So to me, all real numbers can go into x. We will get an answer. Except for 3, she says. Is she right? Okay, so all real numbers, but don't let x equal what? 3. Should it be what? Should it be positive or negative?
When you square it.
Okay, negative 3 times negative 3 is 9. 9 minus 9 is 0. So it's both. Okay, and here's the way you guys should be thinking. I would have thought this way. I know this can't be what? I know this can't be what? 0. So solve that. X squared minus 9 can't be 0. Well, that'd be x squared can't be what? 9. Square root of this, square root of that. X can't be what? There you go. So it was. It is plus or minus. Any number, your domain is any number, except for 2 numbers. They are 3 and negative 3. That one, that's a function. Look, no, it's the square root function. It's even. Even roots, some have restrictions. What's the only number you can put in there? No. Oh, sorry. You solved it quick in your head. I was thinking something else. I was thinking this. The only kind of number you can have in here is what? Positive and what? And you can have 0 in there, right? You can take the square root of 0, right? Okay, what's in there though? X minus 5. So to me, what I would do, I would say x minus 5 can only be what? Positive, which would be greater than 0, and it can be equal to 0. I would solve that. And now you're going to get what you said. X, solve it, plus 5. Okay, so what's the domain? Only real numbers that are what? Greater than 5 or equal to 5. Does 5 work? 5 minus 5. 0. Square root of 0. 0. 4 minus 0. 4. Okay, hey, you got an answer. You got 4. Give me something less than this. 3. Okay. Does 3 work? Ready? 3 minus 5. All right. 4 minus what? Uh-oh. What did we just bring in? Imaginaries. These are imaginaries. They don't work. You won't get an answer now. So, yeah, we've got it. That's it. I skipped one on you. I'm sorry. Skip that one or that one. All you have to tell me is it a function? So I'm looking for a yes, no, yes, no, no, no. You're going to tell me what here? First one's yes? Oh, come. It is linear, isn't it? It is already solved for y, isn't it? And do you see this in front? Do you see a plus or minus? So you're only going to get what? You'll put a number in for x, you'll get how many answers? 1. Y will equal to something. You're only getting one y value, right? So, yes. Linear gave it away, I thought. Okay. What about this one? No? Why no?
Easiest way to write it would be x equals negative y squared plus 16.
Okay.
So then it would be going out from the y-axis to vertical line.
Oh, okay. I would have probably left that alone, and I would have moved this over here, I would have probably said this, and then solved it for y, right? And then you'd end up with what? Plus or minus, blah, blah, blah. And how many y values do you get? Y equals positive something, and you're getting 2, aren't you? Yeah? So this is what? No. Do you know what the graph looks like? I think, Hannah, you said it points which way?
It points out that way, so like from the y-axis,
From the y? Okay. So
horizontal.
here's the deal. When you guys see x squared is a parabola that goes this way. Up, up, down, down. But when you see y squares, it's what? It's parabolas, but they're what? Right, left. It just depends on the sign, positive, negative. We're not going to get into that, but this one, because this one is, where is it? Okay. Yeah, it is a positive y squared, right? So it is basically, it's going that way. Good? So that's a no. This one, what do you think? Yes, no?
No.
Or no? Any yeses? Couple, yeah? Okay, so we're kind of confused on this one. Absolute value of y, right? I don't see a plus or minus sign, do you? No? Yeah. But wait a minute. Put a number in for x, everybody. Give me something. 2. Okay, I put a 2 in, I get what? 2 equals absolute value of y. Okay, wait a minute. 2 goes in, that's what I get. What number could y be and still get this answer 2? What's the absolute value of 2? 2! Wait a minute. Y could also be negative 2, right?
Yeah.
Right? Uh-oh. So 2 gets 2 and 2 gets what? So yes or no? Okay, no. Now, here's the deal. This is an absolute value of y. You guys kind of know, you said it, they're v's, but that's x's. Absolute value of x, v up, v down. What do you think y is? What do you think of y is? It's a v, but it's which way? It's right or left. Positive v, it's right. Negative v, it would have went left. Okay? But do you understand why it's a no?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm not giving you the worksheet. The worksheet that I had on my calendar was going to be you doing pretty much all of that by yourself. I said, no, I'm not going to make you do that on Friday. I thought, just talk it through. You have this to do, right here. Don't do 103. I know I didn't cut off much, I get it. But still, just do that. And then Monday, we're not going to finish this lesson. We're just going to say, good enough. So we'll practice on Monday, we'll quiz on Tuesday, and then we'll do 1-5 on Wednesday next week. Good? Oh, I got something in my hand. I don't know what it is. Okay, guys, go to work.